All right. Good evening, everyone. I hope this time is better. We used to have these events in the morning by 11 a.m. GMT. Today we're having at 4 p.m. GMT, the truth interviews, and we're going to be talking to three amazing people who are doing something not for profit. We're going to find out if it's, in quote, really not for profit. We're going to find out the challenges they face doing not for profit here in Africa. And we're going to find out how they operate and maybe how uh, everyone else out there can support them. All right, so today, if you're joining us from wherever you're joining us, I'd like you to just type in the comments and let us know what city you're joining us from, and let us know what you expect to see or to expect to experience in today's session. I'm just going to really open up the floor right away because we're going to know a little bit about the guests we have today. If you're watching for them, please do well to encourage them, um, do well to support them on the chats and let them know that you are backing them there. So it's amazing today. I'm just going to allow everyone to introduce themselves. I'm going to start with the ladies, and let me hear from Dr. Heather Beem. Please tell us a little about yourself, what you do, and so forth. Go ahead, ma'am.
Right. Thank you, Ken. Thank you for the invitation and the opportunity to join you for this discussion today. Hello, everyone. My name is Heather Beem. I'm the CEO and founder of PEN, Practical Education Network. So, a little bit about me. I grew up in the US, studied mechanical engineering, and was fortunate to get into MIT for graduate school. And while I was there, I found myself really immersed in this environment that celebrated hands on practical learning. And I started to see the impact of that in my colleagues, my fellow students, as they were immersed in that environment of very hands on project based learning. They started building their confidence and their own ability to solve problems. There was this mindset that we all developed that every problem can be solved. We just have to start, build a prototype, test it out, and we'll arrive at a solution eventually. And I started to ask myself, what would it be like for students all over the world to get to experience that kind of practical education? Could it unlock the problem solving potential that all of them have as youth? And could they solve some of society's greatest challenges if they had that kind of foundational education experience? So that question led me to Ghana a few years ago to start interacting with students here. And I realized that indeed, if students get even just a little bit of exposure to hands-on learning, if they can just get a little bit of guidance, and if they're even taught how to use locally available materials, they can actually change their outlook on what they are capable of. I worked with a group of students in Takoradi. Over the course of 10 days, we built a wind turbine from scrap materials. And that's just an example of what can be done once students have access to that kind of education. So having realized that, I set off to start an organization to enable this kind of experience to be shared with students at a large scale. So that led me to found Practical Education Network, and our mission is to enable every African child to learn by doing. We want students all over the continent to be building projects, doing experiments, asking questions, because that is the kind of education that is going to enable countries like Ghana to develop and even flourish. So that's a little bit about me. Happy to talk more in detail about our work as we continue.
Awesome. I am particularly curious about how this research arrived at the materials that you use, and we'll talk about that deeper in the conversation. Let's move over to again just ladies first thing. No order here. Rebecca Akuetteh, please introduce yourself quickly.
All right. Hi, everyone. Good evening. I'm Rebecca Akuetteh Nuerkie. I hope I'm loud and clear.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Please go
All
ahead.
right. Okay. Okay. So I'm Rebecca Akuetteh Nuerkie, and hmm, okay, I'm passionate. I'm passionate about I don't know how to begin this, but okay.
You're passionate about.
Uh, I'm passionate about life. I'm passionate about art. I'm passionate about my environment. I grew up here and there. If I say here and there, I mean like I stayed a little bit with relatives. And
Mhm.
growing up, I saw a lot of challenges, and I would say that inspired me to be who I am today, to come up with the Nuerkie Foundation, because I believe when one has the exposure, one can do greater things. If I say
Mhm.
exposure, I mean opportunities with life. One can do greater things. One can express him or herself without exposure. One can discover his or her God-given talents with an exposure. If I say exposure in terms of education, in terms of um, let's say socialization,
Mm.
in terms of facilities, in terms of adequate, um, for lack of vocabulary, I'll say adequate environment.
Mhm.
Yes, and that informed me or that inspired me into the Nuerkie Foundation, because I believe the least people in our society, which unfortunately as a country, we are ignoring, we are living as though they do not exist, but they are part of us. They are part of the society we are like growing. I believe such society, when given the right exposure, can also add on to the country's various solutions, so to say.
Mhm.
Um, so I think as time goes on, I'll go deeper. I think I'm a
Okay.
little
Thank
nervous right
you.
now, so my English is
Sorry
not
about that.
coming.
Pardon us. All right. So we're going to hear. When when Dr. Beam started, Rebecca, I think it's a camera thing. When she's outside with all
Yes.
her people, I mean, she's very vibrant.
Yeah, I'm,
So
I'm, I'm a little shy. So I even asked Mr. Ken, was it going to be audio? Because if it were to be audio,
you'll be fine.
I would have, yeah, I would have
I'm
been
sorry about
fine.
that. All right. When Heather started talking about education, my mind immediately went to Dr. Faith Nwaobia, but I said, okay, let's just do this ladies first thing. So I'm going to ask him to introduce himself, what he does, and give him. Let's hear his voice. I mean, you hear the voice right now. Dr. Faith, please go ahead.
Thank you, Ken, for such an invitation to come here again. This is our platform. This is where we tell the
Yes.
truth. And thank you, Dr. 𝐒𝐤𝐤 Beem, for that amazing introduction. I picked something from what you said about practical education and
Mm.
hands-on learning. It's very needed, for Africa. And thank you also, Rebecca, an amazing journey you've had and experience that you've had. God-given talent, opportunity with life. I love those. I love those words. For me, of course, my name is Faith Nwaobia. I'm the founder and the president of YouthUp Global. For me, the journey of YouthUp Global has been something that I've always been known for. I've I've always loved community building. I've always loved joining hands, working together. I've always loved young people coming together to do amazing stuff, discovering their strengths, going all out to achieve and even exceed expectations. So it's about potentials. How will you be able to tap into opportunities and then get something out of life? So that drive, right from the time that I was even in the Boy Scout movement, I've always loved the spirit of team building, the spirit of joining hands together to move things forward. So the training that I had during the Boy Scout era of my primary secondary school days, down to grow to become a boys, the scout master, like we call our ranks, gave me that training, the background to understand why it is needed that we must work together. So that's where the idea of collaboration.
Okay, sorry about that. I think we
Yes,
lost your voice for a few seconds.
yes, I'm trying to. Is it back now?
Yes, it's back. It's back.
I'm trying to make a switch
Okay.
on my network because a call came in the other one. So I'm
Okay.
better off with this. I'm switching into.
That's fine. That's fine. Thank you.
Okay, please, can you confirm that my voice
Okay,
is
great.
out there so I can continue?
Awesome. It's awesome. It's good. Please go ahead.
You can hear me clearly, Ken. So I can continue.
Yes, I can. I can. It's clear.
Hello.
Hello. Yes, I can. It's
It's
clear.
clear now.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm sorry for that. So, like I was trying to explain, so that's how the idea of partnership, collaboration, working together, teamwork, came to become part of what I've always lived to actualize. So, somewhat during my career days, I worked as a banker, and the normal training is that, of course, we had the whole idea of learning to understand the business world. So, of course, I would say that to an extent, it helped me to sharpen my understanding about the business world and to
Mhm.
understand the professional aspect of life. After that, of course, I've gone through teaching, where education is, of course, for me, is something that I've always been passionate about. But then from there, I started seeing that I've started working so much with young people. How? Because I got an offer with an international career firm that's called Malik. And this Malik platform enables young people from any part of the world to link themselves to various job opportunities and even to offer them career counseling, coaching. But I now discovered that I was supposed to be charging these young people, right, to offer them career counseling, coaching, but I ended up doing these things more of free, right? So I now saw that I was doing more of this, offering these services for free. And then I said, okay, fine. It appears that for me, impact is more, right,
Mhm.
than just making the money. So that's how the whole idea. I said, okay, so if I can do this for these young people, I could do more if I would bring them together and then bring other organizations to also see them out there. And then they can link to other organizations leveraging on YouthUp. So that's how the idea of YouthUp came to be. So YouthUp today, it's positioned to be a social platform, a social connecting platform that an
Mhm.
aggregator, more like, that connects young people to have access to various social impact projects, right, across the globe. So anywhere you are as a young person, we are targeting young people. Anywhere you are as a young person, you can key in and tap into the pool of opportunities that we have, courtesy of our collaborations, our partnership, working together with various organizations. Like today, I'm meeting Heather, I'm meeting Rebecca. These are amazing people. And what they are doing, we can join hands, connect with them, work together,
Mhm.
expose these young people. I love when Rebecca was talking about exposure. right? I think it was Rebecca that talked about exposure or Heather, but someone talked about exposure and then experience and all that. So these are the things that YouthUp is said to do. I'm sure there is a whole lot to be talked about here as we progress, but for me, I'm all out for the social benefits. I'm a social policy analyst, right? I'm all out for how our society will be built by empowering young people out there. Thank you very much, Ken, once again for having me. As we progress, I'm sure I will drop more lines
Awesome.
about who I am.
Amazing. Amazing, Dr. Nwaobia. It's great to have you. So this is the Truth Interviews. And thank you, Iberi, for joining. Thank you, Eben, for joining. Thank you, Anne, for joining. Ever faithful from Switzerland. Thank you. I think I saw Gilbert as well, and so forth. All right, we're going to take a short breather. When we come back, we'll get to know a little more about the organizations that these amazing people have, impact makers have created to make impact in the society. Hang in there, and if you know someone who will benefit from this, tag them, share the post, and we'll be back. All right, thank you for hanging in there. Welcome back. So we're going to turn back to Dr. Beem, Dr. Heather Beem. And like I said earlier, I'm quite curious about the MIT research that gave birth to being able to use paper, straws, banku, kenke to teach engineering. I'm serious. If you've seen some of the videos of Penn, you will see these items being used to teach science practically. So I'd like to come back to Heather to talk about what Penn does, how they do it, and the background. How did it all start, this research thing? Dr. Heather, please go ahead.
All right. So once again, the organization Penn, our mission is to enable every African child to learn by doing. And in order for that to happen realistically, we see that using locally available materials is key, because we can't wait for governments of all the African countries to now equip all the schools across the continent with high-tech laboratory equipment. That's not going to happen in my lifetime, and I'm interested in a solution that's going to happen in my lifetime. So a very simple analysis shows that we need another way. If we actually want students to do practical things as they're going to school, we need another way. And if we look at what you can do with locally available materials, you'd be amazed that actually all of the topics in the national curriculum can be taught in a practical way with locally available materials. So that is the exact approach that Penn has taken. We've looked at the entire Ghanaian national curriculum from primary school through secondary school, and for science, for virtually every topic, and then now also for mathematics, we've generated at least one hands-on activity that matches that topic. And again, only using locally available materials. So we're talking about things like water bottles, toothpicks, straws, balloons, stones, flowers. All of those things can be repurposed into engaging practical activities that actually align with the national curriculum. And so we've generated teacher resource manuals that are booklets with all of these activities together. And then we do training for teachers to practice how they can use these activities themselves. So that's the core programming that Penn does, is teacher training. For science and mathematics teachers, we equip them to use local materials to make their teaching practical. And Ken's question is about where this all came from. So I would say that at MIT, where I went to school, the ethos is similarly very much around using what's around you. So although, yes, there are high-tech equipment around the campus over there, the sort of ethos isn't about let's look for the most fancy equipment to do our project. It's like, let's build something quickly. Let's use whatever we have, because it's better to build something than nothing. So that ethos, which is sometimes called the DIY, do-it-yourself ethos, or the maker mindset or maker movement, is something that's quite popular at MIT and even growing as a sort of movement across the Western world. So it's actually something that I think already happens on the continent in Africa. People are very resourceful, very creative in using what they have around them. And it's now the Western world that's actually figuring that out and trying to do it as well. So I see it as actually an opportunity for knowledge transfer from Africa to the West. And that's what I hope that we will be able to see in the years to come, is we'll have Ghanaian teachers, Nigerian teachers, Kenyan teachers, sharing the kinds of creative, practical activities they've developed, across the globe.
Okay, let me ask on that. If you get into a country, do you have to study their curriculum to be able to adapt this, or do you have a set of package tools that you can share with other nations or something?
Yeah, great question. It's something we're thinking about a lot right now at the moment. So just for a little bit of context, we started doing trainings in 2014, and up until over the, about 6 years from that first teacher training up till the COVID-19 pandemic, we were doing everything 100% in person, moving to schools with our trainers and our bag of materials, having the teachers together in the room, and then the teachers practice using local materials to teach science and math topics. Then obviously with the pandemic, we couldn't do that again. So we then pivoted to a fully online version of our training. So ever since the beginning of 2020, we've been doing fully online training. So we found a way to get teachers to do practical activities even when we're not in the same location. And so that's been a really interesting experience for us. And now that we have that platform, we're actively looking at how can we support schools and teachers in other parts of the continent, because we have this platform available now. So why not offer it more widely? So we're very much looking into that question that you've raised, Ken. And I think initially our thought was we'll focus on Anglophone West Africa because we're all under WIEC. So the curriculum is pretty similar. So it shouldn't require much changing of the existing content. But we've actually seen a lot of interest from organizations in other parts of the continent, East Africa, Southern Africa as well. So we're in the process. We're going step by step and seeing to what extent can we just use our existing videos and content versus now needing to do a thorough exercise to analyze their curriculum.
Beautiful. As you mentioned the existing platform to teach, I remember Studare, and I'll just turn over to Dr. Faith to tell us more about. I'm sure you'd like to mention what Studare does, but more about how YouthUp started up and all this edtech space, something called the edtech space. I think I saw that expression first from his engaging with him, the educational technologies space, being able to reuse content to communicate the lessons you are. So Faith, please tell us about YouthUp Global, how it started, how it operates, what it does, how you sustain staffing, volunteerism, and all that. Please go ahead.
Okay, I just forgot I muted. Yeah. Okay.
Sorry
thank
about
you.
that.
Thank you, Ken, once again. And thank you, Dr. Heather, for that highlight. Quite an amazing job you're doing, and I love that. We'll do so much together. Like I said, YouthUp is built under the principle and foundation of partnership and collaboration. And we so much believe in working together to deliver results, social impactful results. So YouthUp, YouthUp has layers, but what I would like to talk about is what I call the YouthUp new playbook, as it is, which is the future, which is where we're headed. We've had quite different programs as a platform for youth. we've had to train, we've had to offer different training programs, capacity building workshops, programs, working together with various organizations to deliver training, scholarships, jobs, internships, apprenticeship programs, and so on, with working together with various organizations to deliver those results. One other thing that YouthUp is set out to do is to see how we can have a connecting platform, of course, like what you're doing now, Dr. Beem, and what you're doing, Rebecca. How we'll be able to work together with you guys, in any part of the country that we have social impact or social entrepreneurs or social enterprises working to support young people or to support the society. We'll be able to plug in and work together with them. So YouthUp is set out. If you talk about how do we operate by virtue of partnership, we operate by virtue of collaboration. We are always open to jump in to work together with various organizations to deliver results. And then because we are dealing directly with young people, we understand mostly their pain points. So we also come in to render advisory services to various NGOs, not-for-profit, social enterprises, and other organizations that are also in the business of supporting youth. So because we are already a platform of youth, put together, what we now do is we stand in a position to advise these organizations on the best area that is of essence, for young people, because we carry out various research, survey, to understand their pain points. So we channel these reports and then research in dealing with various organizations. So an organization, for instance, Dr. Hilda may want to do a project in a clean initiative or clean and green initiative. We can say no. I think it is better you do an education project, right? Because we think that would help the solve problems that are pressing, right? So because we carry out these surveys, we get the opinions from time to time, we sample their opinions and then understand what their major concerns are and their pain points. So that helps us to project and work together with organizations to channel their energy rightly and their resources rightly. So that is about YouthUp. So if you want to understand the way YouthUp operates on the basis of partnership, collaborations, and we are so keen about the 17 SDGs. We are in all out to partner with any organization in all the 17 SDGs of the United Nations. So anywhere from no poverty, that is zero poverty, down to partnership for good, partnership for the good, which is the 17th. We are all out, to work together with various organizations to carry out specific programs and projects that will ensure that, especially where young people are affected, that we're able to address that. And we also have various organizations, because we are working with various organizations, we found out that many of the young people that we work with, that are within our network, our community, also have branched out to launch various projects and programs, and they also come in form of startups. But what we've seen is that most of them, because of the training and that consciousness, they are coming out to do more of social impact projects, and that is what we wanted. That is what we are set out to achieve. That we see more entrepreneurs from Africa to run into more of the social entrepreneurship, even though we know that profit making is also very vital. But what we are saying is that, like you was looking at if you look at back, you will see Studia. Studia is one of such projects that is also out for social impact, towards the education sector. What we are doing with Studia is an edutech platform, and we are trying to see that students, scholars anywhere in the world, have access to materials that ordinarily today may not be available. Because, for instance, we've seen that people go to school. When I went to school, when I had my first degree, you would do your research, but ask me, where is that research? Where is that research work? What is the viability of that research? How many persons have made a reference on that project? And you spent money, you spent resources to carry out those projects, and those projects can actually be some can actually be funded into existence, into something that you can say, okay, this is an enterprise. So what we want to do with one of the things that Studio will do is to aggregate a lot of work of various students in any part of the world, especially Africa anyway, to put it together and encourage investors to invest in students directly and help them, bring out the ideas into reality. So the students have various projects. This project that they put together can actually be bettered into enterprises, projects, that can employ people, that can put food on the table and all that, and also solve the immediate societal issues. So we are leveraging on technology to carry out that project. The project is ongoing. Myself and other group of utopians, like we call ourselves, are carrying out that project. We also have other projects like Advert, Africa. We have Strativia. We have as many of them, and I'm sure also Mr. Kenneth is also very out with one other project that is called Kabela and all that. So there are a whole lot of things that YouthUp, courtesy of our collaboration and our partnership, is set out to put together, especially in the area of addressing youth, especially youth unemployment, especially when it comes to poverty, when it comes to hunger and all these social issues that result to social vices. We are out to address them. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. That's amazing. Amazing. I really like the parts around. I just remember my research. I mean, I'll not tell you what I did, so I don't advertise too much. And I asked myself, yes, you're right. I mean, is there technology for Africa? Is there some kind of use that all this, in quote, booking can, give to society? We're doing lots of booking in Africa, a lot of studying. How can it be a relevant society? I appreciate that so much. Let's turn over to Rebecca. I'm sure by now she's shaking off all the, nervousness. So I'd like to tell us about Nuerkie Foundation and what you're doing with that, how you operate. Remember, you're muted, you can unmute. Tell us a little more about that, what challenges you're facing. And throughout the time, others have spoken. Dr. Heather Beem, Dr. Faith Nwaobia, you've not spoken about the money. How does money come in? As much as we are doing impact, who is sponsoring the impact? Maybe you want to also start to talk about that. Go ahead, Rebecca.
Okay. So, Nuerkie Foundation. Where do I begin? So, I got inspired actually by a book I read, The Richest Man in Babylon. After reading the book, what I took out from the book was opportunity, because I believe Akkad, the character in the book, had the opportunity to meet the richest man as at the time, and in exchange of money, the man gave him something worth more than money. He gave him a lesson about money, and Akkad applied it to his life. Hence, he became the richest man in Babylon. And out of that, the Babylonian king invited him to his kingdom, to his palace, and gave the opportunity to teach other Babylonians how they can manage money so that they'll also become like rich. And as at that period, Babylon was so rich, it was very rich in terms of agriculture, tourism, everything, you can name it. So what I took from the book was opportunity. Akkad made use of the opportunity he got from the rich man he encountered. So I asked myself, with this knowledge, how am I going to impact my society with what I got from this? Others will read the book and will take something else. They will read the book and they'll learn how to handle money, how to manage money. It's about paying yourself 10% and all that. They will practice that. But what I took was an opportunity, because in all that was all I kept reading, opportunity. So I asked myself, how am I going to impact my society with this? And mind you, I'm a political inclined individual. I love politics. I want to know what's really happening as at the period. Back in school, I was in the political activities here all over the place. And I realized that I had the command, like I had the ears of people. If I say I had the ears of people, like I'm able to command the attention of people. So with that strength, and I also realized that after I went for a women commissioner, like I was into student politics, I realized that in as much as I didn't win anyway, but in as much as I didn't win, my followers were still loyal. Like students were still, they had that high expectation for me. And so with that let me say experiences, I asked myself, how do I impact my society with what the power I have right now? And so I kept asking myself questions, I kept meditating, and out of frustration, I would say I took on to Facebook, complain about political policies and how it affects the day-to-day life of the individual. I kept talking about policies that do not make sense to me, like how does the market seller benefit for such policy? How does the tomato seller or how does the shoemaker benefit from a budget? Those are the things I kept commenting on Facebook. I kept lamenting. And the feedback I kept getting was, what are you doing about it? Or what are you going to do about it? So these questions kept haunting me. And it got to a time I was like, hey, you better set up. You can't be complaining. You can't be talking about it all the time. You can't be pointing fingers. Do something about it. And so with that challenge, or with that experience, or with that meditation, I took it upon myself to venture into something very challenging, like something that would challenge my core. And that's how Nuerkie Foundation came to be. So it started 2020. That was before the COVID. And I was just sitting by my desk and it hit me that why don't you raise funds for the Kayayeis to get a hand sanitizer? As at the time, April, that was early 2020, the sanitizer was selling for like ridiculous prices. Some was 15,
Yeah.
50 cedis, some were 200 cedis, some were 100 cedis. And people were like, it was scarce, though it was in the market, but it was scarce. So I asked myself that how do these people who barely make something for themselves can afford this? Because it became like a luxury. So it was just 2 weeks. We're all hearing of a lockdown, a lockdown, a lockdown, but then we didn't know the exact day. So the idea just popped up, and then I picked my phone and I started putting up, I put it on my status that look, let's come together, let's raise funds for hand sanitizers for the Kayayei girl child, hand sanitizers for the Kayayei, hand sanitizers for the street child. And then that's how Nuerkie came to be. So luckily for me, the people in my circle, I'm happy to say Dr. Beem was like she's been loyal ever since I started Nuerkie Foundation. She's been contributing towards it. I do the mass fundraising. I use mostly my core contacts, like my friends, my inner circle, people I know from church. Mr. Igiri is part. He's also been very supportive. Like it's like I believe when you are coming up with an NGO like this, it's people who know you, people who have known you, they trust you because they know you. And it's unfortunate a
Wow.
part of the world when you start an organization, people perceive that you are coming in for dubious reasons. So they have a double mind about, they doubt you. And so I mostly fall on my inner circle. I mostly fall on my contacts. And so actually I'm a person who is babbling. I like to make friends. I like to meet new people. And I think that also has also helped because it is out of my inner circle that I'm able to raise funds towards my projects. As you ask, how do you get the money? And that's the answer. It's my inner circle, my contacts, those I know at church, those I know at work, like my clients. My clients, some I've not met before, but then the way we talk on phone and the way I flow, like as I talk, hey, yo, hi, hi, and then I put it out there, and then they buy into it because as I said, I'm babbling, like I'm all over the place. So I just thank God for that grace. And so that's how come
Okay.
I'm able to raise funds towards it. And back to 2020, I was able to raise it. It was just, I think, 2 weeks, 2 weeks or 3 weeks. I was marveled at it. How people were so, oh, take this, oh, this person sends this person sends that. And by the grace of God, I was able to meet one woman who was doing the homemade sanitizer. So she got it for me at a discount. And ironically, my salary went into it. It was my first experience. Ironically, my salary went into it without even me knowing. It was after I had made the purchases that I realized that, hey, your salary has gone in there. Anyways,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's just by the way. So
All right.
um I was able to do that. We got smaller bottles. We put them in the smaller bottle. We're able to give about 500 bottles on the day before the lockdown. It was on a Sunday. And my target group is the Kayayei, the Kayayei women or the Kayayei girl child. And I also observed, I'm very observant. I don't have that how will I say, I observe. And I would say my observation mostly, I would say, is like 49% sometimes correct. So I observed that the past 20 years, the Kayayei woman or the Kayayei girl child or the age for the Kayayei business has dropped. Is dropped from about, initially they were about early 20s, but now it's dropped to as early as 8 years. You see an 8-year-old on the street as a Kayayei girl, as a like a Kayayei or a hair porter. And it was very it troubled my spirit. I was really worried about it. And so I would say that also motivated me. And and I would say that also motivated me. So on a Sunday, the lockdown was to be on a Monday. Monday, yes. So on a Sunday afternoon, I had some few teams. We went to the Malata market and we did that distribution. It was awesome. It was awesome. So fast forward. Hello, am I on? Oops. This- the hell is going-
Okay. I'm back. Okay. 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 I'm so sorry about that. Can anyone hear me? So, in order to,
Yes, yes,
I'm so sorry. I lost internet. I didn't know it was still out for a while.
it's okay.
Okay, Rebecca was speaking, and I'm sure I'm so sorry that I missed some parts. But one of the things I picked up from Rebecca's speech was the issue of the what it costs, as little as it costs. Essentially, I'm bringing her back to the stream. How little it costs to make an impact on somebody's life. She kept using the word Kayayei, and I know the likes of Anne will be wondering what she's talking about. Anne is from Switzerland, is in Switzerland. I saw Doctor. I saw Doctor. I don't see him here anymore. But some people want to know what Kayayei are.
Okay.
Basically, they are porters, right? They
Yes,
they
headquarters.
work
They
in
carry
porters.
in our markets. They carry the loads people going to buy from the markets.
Okay, great. Thank you
Yeah.
very much. So you see, let's say you're doing $1 can buy food for maybe 3, 4 of them based on the cost of the kind of food that is nicely. So I want to come back to so I want to appreciate what Rebecca is doing is like on the grounds, the very grassroots of the
Yes.
grassroots.
So
So there's
if I
yes,
may,
go ahead.
I want to land here.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I
Okay.
think we
Yes. Okay. So as I was saying, fast forward, we after the hand sanitizer exercise, we then on December we decided to feed, have some festive celebration with them. But you know they are huge. They are huge number, and it's across the country. But mainly they are in Accra and Kumasi. They move. Actually, let me just give a little bit of background with the Kayayei or headquarter girl. So the headquarter girl or Kayayei is a woman or a lady or a girl moving from the northern part of Ghana to the southern part. That could be the Kumasi or the Accra like to do business. If I say business, has to do the carrying of loads on the head for exchange of some few monies here and there. A day they can make like 20 cedis a day. And this group of women mostly live by the streets. They practically live by the streets. They sleep by the street, they bath by the streets. Some take their base, they have the public base, but some also do their bathing like on the streets at dawn, and it's worrisome. It's so worrisome. I can't belong to a country that has women go through such harsh conditions. So as a Ghanaian, passionate Ghanaian, as I said, political activist, I asked myself, how do I help resolve this? So the solution, the Nuerkie Foundation, our objective is using agriculture and tourism to hold these women up in the north, because we believe that when they have something lucrative to do, they will not leave their comfortable beds to come to the south. But then it's a young organization. It's a very huge picture. And we are starting it a project at a time. That's how come we are starting with the small projects with them here in the
mhm,
south. So when we
mm,
gain grounds, when we gain the grounds, when we gain the establishment, we will be going into agriculture. The northern part of Ghana has beautiful landscapes. It's a
mm,
harsh weather condition. They're very sunny. But let's not think far. Look at Dubai. Dubai 50 years ago, 20 years ago, you wouldn't dare want to go to Dubai. But today, everybody is tripping to Dubai. Why? Because
mm.
they've made the place comfortable for themselves. So as an organization, as I said, it's a huge picture.
Okay.
We are taking it upon ourselves to also create a comfortable condition for these women so that they can be in their abode, they can be in their
Mm,
own bed, wake up in their own bed, and go to work in their own vicinity. So they wouldn't have to move all the way from the north to the south to go through such harsh conditions. I talk
Thank
about
you very much.
opportunity. I talk
Thank you
about
very much,
opportunity.
Rebecca.
Oh,
So let me
okay.
let me
So,
just pause you there. It's just a pause. You
all
continue
right.
soon because of time, and
All
I
right.
want to appreciate that. And I like if you those who've been listening, you hear that there some of these porters come from a particular section of the country. They have to come down to not to get a job with a bank. They come down to get a job at the market, carrying things from one to the other on their heads. Let me turn over to Dr. Faith to talk a little about the volunteerism and the funding part of YouthUp. Please go ahead. And I would like you to also jump into how Africans perceive donation. I thought about this. I said to myself, somebody will ask me, uh, who send you markets? As in, you said you want to do social entrepreneurship. Why do I have to fund it? I mean, how do you feel about that? Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much, Kenneth, for that opportunity. Rebecca, amazing one. Thanks for taking us through that processes, and I was able to capture one of the things from your presentation. Okay, so quickly, the beauty of social enterprise is the angle of volunteering and having people to come up to say, I am ready to do this for free. So it's always interesting to see that part of people to say that they are actually interested in a project, and they can do that for nothing, just because they want to be part of a project, they want to be part of a vision, they want to be part of a mission. You see, when we talk about to volunteer or volunteerism, it's something that we need to talk so much about in Africa. It's something that we need to leverage on, but that is an angle that is very key. That angle is the fact that as much as we see that young people are ready to volunteer, we need to also find ways to compensate their efforts, and we need to also find ways to ensure that there is a form of paid, volunteering positions out there that we create, and that's what we are working towards in ensuring that through YouthUp affiliations and partnerships, we are ensuring that young people, yes, you volunteer to do this project, to learn on the job. So that's where we have a collaboration at the moment that we call Youth Apprentice Network, and that is a project that is geared towards supporting young people through apprenticeship. So this is you volunteer, yes, but then it is on the job learning. So you learn as much as you're learning, you're also earning. So we try to pay young people to learn on a particular project. For instance, they want to learn how to do graphic designs, and as they are learning how to do graphic design, they are actually getting paid, doing the job. So that is the best way as social entrepreneurs we should be able to support young people. As we get them to volunteer, let's create some programs like apprenticeship programs where they actually come in to have a training that will empower them. Even as they are going through that training, it's also good that we can attach some kind of earning opportunities for them to sustain, because we know the level of hunger here and how it is difficult for people to survive. So there is need to include that aspect. So YouthUp is championing that, and we have a lot of collaboration, ensuring that young people get on the job training that also supports some kind of earning, while they are learning. So that is that. We have massive community of volunteers, very, very massive. We have from graphics to social media to content developers to all that. And through that, a lot of people, after the training, they go all out to even become self-employed, right? They work as freelancers, right? So the gig economy has also fueled an opportunity, which is the angle that COVID, if I want to credit COVID for anything good, will just be the boom of the gig economy somewhat. Even though we know that a whole lot of dislocations, it brought a lot of dislocation, but we cannot write off the fact that it also opened the internet to become more acceptable, and young people, especially in Africa, now tend to accept more of online jobs, and then they are getting to become digital aware, And then a lot of people are now signing up to various media platforms and then are getting on board. And it is opening up a lot of opportunities. For instance, I know of young people today that they don't dress up in the morning to go to office, but they are working and they are earning, and then they are solving their problems. YouthUp assisting them in various ways that we can to also fix them up, Then that is about that. Then on funding for any social entrepreneur, you need relationship. Relationship is very vital. You need to work on having a robust community where, just as Rebecca said, in-house, people that are in-house. That is about relationship. As a social entrepreneur, you must learn how to build relationship, quality relationship that you can run to, because people fund you now. Remember, this is an impact-driven project. It's not too about profit-driven. So before people will give you money, they want to believe in your vision. They want to believe in your mission. They want to be part of what you're doing. So for you to get them to be part of what they need to love you as a person. They need to love your courage. They need to understand what you want to do. They want to believe you. So all that, you need to sell yourself out, and you need to know how to work with people. You need to build quality relationship. I've always advocated my 3 C's. Know how to connect with people strategically. Know how to add value, which is contributing people's life. And then you also need to know how to communicate effectively. So this whole thing put together, you need to build your quality relationship. That's what would help you. I remember when we launched a project that we call Innovate Africa, the first of its kind, we call it 1.0 Innovate Africa. What's the project about? It's about addressing youth unemployment in Africa, right? And so that project is a collaborative project between organizations that are also innovative in their approach, that are interested in addressing youth unemployment and YouthUp Global. So we stretch our hand to work together with various organizations. That program was launched on October 1st this year, and it recorded massive success. And we were able to, from that project, a lot of other programs like this apprenticeship network that I'm talking about has come up. And then we are working with platforms like Orfoma. We are working with platforms like Techno Africa. We are working with various other platforms, in order to ensure that young people will be able to tap various opportunities. Because what YouthUp actually represents is you having YouthUp. You should not be lacking as a young person to tap into opportunity, either to learn, okay, or to start work. Even if it's through an apprenticeship model, but you just need to start. While you are working, you are learning, you are earning. So as a young person, we want to see that unemployment, which is our primary goal to address, is handled through YouthUp vehicle. So if you enter YouthUp as a vehicle, YouthUp will be able to take you to destinations like now what Heather is doing, like I've learned today with teachers. I so much love it. So we would work with Heather to also see that a lot of Nigerian teachers sign up into this platform. Young people also sign up in this platform to also understand this practical learning platform that she's designing, and I love what she's doing. The same thing with Rebecca and that. So that is exactly what we are doing. So for volunteering, we need to encourage young people, even as they volunteer, with some form of stipend, especially through an apprenticeship program, which we are championing, YouthUp is championing. And then on funding, you will need people who believe in what you're doing, who trust in what you're doing, who will accept you as a person. Because this time, as much as profit, as much as you are not going to be doing it for profit, because 2 things are there. It's either you are in a business for impact or for profit-centered. And let me explain this. I was reading a report by British Council on Global Social Entrepreneurship Index, and a particular statistic shocked me, and I want to share it with you guys. It said SMEs that are profit-centered. I wrote it out there. It said employ an average of 2 persons or 2 people. So that means in average, SMEs that are profit-centered employ about 2 people. But for social enterprises, they employ an average of 21, right? 27% of profit-centered businesses actively seek to create jobs is just around 27%. So if you look at business organizations that are profit-centered, that actually want to solve the problem of unemployment, they are just 27%. But that percent is about 78% for social enterprises. So what it means is that businesses that are profit-centered, their interest does not so much work around how to solve social issues, because their own is about how does it add to the profit bottom line. So for us, for the folks that are into social entrepreneurship, our own goal is more of social impact. And because it's of social impact, we are looking at our own yardstick of growth is how many young people have you empowered?
Hmm.
How many young people have you taken out of unemployment? How many young people have you taken out of poverty? How many young women have you empowered? How many children have you taken to school? If you're running a project on how to address lack of education or illiteracy ratio and all that. So you see, our own indices, our own yardstick of measurement is different from a profit-oriented business, and that is why our approach when it comes to results are also different. So I think for Africa, it is something that is highly, highly needed. It's something that is highly, highly welcomed at this moment. As much as we know that profit making is key, but so much effort should be put into bringing more of social entrepreneurs who would capture one specific problem that is here and tackle them, because that is the only way we can distribute and share our resources instead of just raising 1, 2, 3, 4 billionaires. Why don't we make many more empowered, liberated, liberated young people that will go all out and represent us, and then create values that will be sustainable. So I think
Thank you.
that is what I will add here. I don't know whether the button will come back to me, but let me see how it goes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Faith Nwaobia. We have done an hour plus, and I'm sorry for that break earlier. And I like a lot of the things that Dr. Faith has spoken about. Volunteerism. That means that I cannot give money, but I can give my skills. And Dr. Faith is saying that even when I give my skills, there's an opportunity to learn and grow, maybe to even earn as I am giving my skills to social entrepreneurship. That is absolutely lovely. And he also mentioned something that drew my attention to a question that Eben asked. How do you get donations in a pandemic when you cannot go out? And that question was originally addressed to Rebecca, but I'll turn it over to Dr. Heather Beem and tell us about your experience raising money from Africans. You grew up in the US. A lot of people have excess money. They're willing to give you millions and all of that. How is the experience getting money for social entrepreneurship in Africa? And how do you do it in 2020? Go ahead, please.
Well, Ken, I'm yet to meet anybody who says they'll willingly give us millions, but maybe someday.
Okay.
Um,
Good.
yeah. I agree with a lot of what has been said, that I think when it comes to raising funds, it's all about starting from your inner circles, because the trust component is quite key, and then bringing people into the mission, inviting others to join into the journey that we're going on. I think that's the approach we've tried to take at Penn, is share widely the mission we have for how the continent will look like once students have access to hands-on learning, and then invite people to join us in that journey. And then to be able to give a specific dollar amount to what that equates to, So for us, we tell people that if you can contribute $20 a month, then you can become a pen pal, as we call it, a monthly supporter. And that enables, that amount of money is actually enough to enable one Ghanaian student to access hands-on learning for an entire year. So I think being able to also equate what is someone's contribution going to result in at the end of the day is also quite helpful. And I just wanted to add on, since the theme is social entrepreneurship, I think that I wanted to say that we shouldn't think of the kind of work we're doing, which is very mission-minded, and which I love. I love working in this space. I get to be around people like Rebecca and Dr. Faith, who are so passionate and mission-minded, and it's amazing. But I think we shouldn't think that we're not allowed to try and generate revenue or raise funds, because to go from a one-off project to an operation that is doing the intervention on a regular basis with staff that's monitoring the effectiveness of the program, that requires funding. And so I think it's even good if we social entrepreneurs also be creative in how we can generate revenue. It's unlikely that the amount of money we'll bring in will ever exceed what we've put in, but it's good to work towards that end.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. I mean, I think that you're talking about here the balance between impact and income, because the income has to sustain the impact. Thank you very
Yes,
much.
let me quickly drop a line there. Very key. Very key. Thank you for calling up that, Dr. Haddon. I think it's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay, see, yes. So I support what you've said here. We must have to find ways to do revenue. We must find ways to generate revenue. And that's the only way our project will be sustainable. Remember, this is a business. You run it as a business. But the only thing is that your interest is for social impact. So it's more like using market-based principles to support a project that is geared towards social impact outcome or result. Not the way it's been run before now. You know, most of NGOs think about is just about asking for people to give them donations and all that. We need to also find ways that can bring sustainable revenue. So we need to have a revenue model that can show some form of sustainability. And I'm sure in most times now, organizations that will even want to work with social enterprises are willing to ask for such strategies. They want to see your operational model. They want to see your revenue model. They want to see this should be a business, even though you are not going to be declaring billions as profit and all that. But the billions you were supposed to declare as profit, you are going to plow them back and put them into various social impact projects. So it is still something that you generate revenue from. But then this revenue is not for you to make just billionaires in pockets, but you want to empower the society, you know, so to say. So I support what you said, and I think that consciousness and that understanding needs to be preached. More of it needs to be said, so that people understand that as a social enterprise, you need to have an inbuilt-in revenue system that will be able to keep your organization sustainable. And this is where YouthUp, this is also where YouthUp comes in. As we are beginning to unfold certain projects that we have, we are also positioned to also render advisory to organizations in this light, and see how all of us can work together to make our organizations more sustainable. Thank you very much for that. I just wanted to add this.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Nwaobia. Now, I'm going to go around with the 2-in-1 question, and we'll just respond in about a minute or so because of our time. I'm going to ask, do you ever think that you could morph into a profit-making business? Maybe it becomes so hard and you say, look, let's just find ways to make money here in your business. That's question one. The second part of the question is, do you think you're making impact enough to sustain your enthusiasm for what you're doing? Let's start from Rebecca. Unmute, please. Just in a minute, unmute, please. Yeah. Okay.
Please, the question is,
number one, do you think that you are making sufficient impact to sustain your drive? Number two, do you think you will ever metamorphose into a profit-making venture as Nuerkie Foundation?
okay, thank you. Okay, which one do I take first? Okay, metamorphose into a profit-making
venture.
Honestly, as I said, with the objective of Nuerkie Foundation, I'm sure as the years goes by, we anticipate something like that, because we believe that in the agriculture sector and the tourism sector, we should be able to be in that position we give ourselves a decade.
Okay.
when it in terms of profit making, because I foresee an agro business, I foresee a huge tourism industry
Mm-hmm.
in the making, whereby natives in the north will be employed, and it will, out of that, every what's the name, every incentive made is what we'll use for salaries, is what we'll use to take care of families, so that women will be enthused about the program and stay in there and not to travel out of the north. And so as time goes on, it's going to be a profit making venture. But
Okay.
for now, is it really impacting society? I say it is. It is because I believe in the upliftment of one spirit. The
Mm-hmm.
upliftment of one spirit can come from what you do for someone. And for now, we are looking at uplifting their spirit and giving them hope in life and giving them the opportunity and making them see life beyond the streets, making them see life beyond who they are, who they've been perceived for years. Nobody was created to come to carry anybody's load. Everybody
Mm.
was created for a reason. And they have talents in there, they have ambitions in there. And that is what Nuerkie Foundation wants to unearth as time goes on. And so, with our project, the current project will be with them, teaching them about their reproductive health so that they make reproductive health choices, because we want to make them understand their what's their menstrual cycle, their sexual choices, what the consequences of their sexual choices, so that they wouldn't bring in the younger ones into these harsh conditions. So these are current projects. That's project that know your body. So
Mm-hmm.
this December, that's what we'll be working on. So it is a project, as I said, it's a project to project procedure to keep to make them understand that, look, we are in a society where at least somebody thinks about us, a group of people thinks about us, and so we belong. We want them to feel belong. But that's the impartation. But then, as a decade to come, we are looking at a bigger picture, looking at a huge picture, which will then become a what do you call it, a profit making um,
Venture. Thank you
venture.
very
Yeah,
much.
thank you.
Much appreciated. So let me turn it back to Dr. Beam. Do you ever see yourself becoming profit making venture? And do you think you're making an impact currently? Go ahead, man.
No, I don't see us ever changing to a fully for-profit venture. Given the context that we're working in education in Africa, the purchasing power simply isn't there for us to actually become a fully for-profit venture, even if we wanted to. But to make sure of that, I think, which is what your question is, I would say that we've gone through a team exercise of creating our mission statements very clearly, and we've cast that out in front of ourselves. So that's going to be our guiding star. So as our programming grows and evolves over the years, we will always be looking at the mission and say, is this programming, is this shift in programming that we might be considering going to help us achieve our mission, which is to enable every African child to learn by doing? If that isn't going to help us towards that mission, then we can't pursue it. So I think having that will keep us focused on the mission. And then the second question, are we making
Impact.
sufficient impact to sustain the drive?
Your
So I would
drive, yeah.
say that, yeah, so I'd say that for me, the drive to do this isn't from the impact itself, it's from my
Mm-hmm.
faith, my
Okay.
belief that God has given me certain skills and that it is my what He desires of me to apply those skills into practice. So the drive, the commitment to do this is determined by my faith, and so long as God has put this in front of me, I'll continue working towards it. But I do see us making impact. When I visit some of the schools where the teachers who've been trained are, it's amazing. Some of them have managed to completely transform their classrooms into places of brimming full of activity as students are engaged in hands-on activities and learning. And I can see that the potential for the life and career ahead of these children is now totally different than what it may have been before, thanks to even just equipping one teacher. So we do see that impact on a regular basis, and it's very satisfying.
Awesome, awesome. That's good to know. I appreciate that so much. You're driven from the inside, not just from the outside. Much appreciated as well. Dr. Faith Nwaobia, the same question. Do you see yourself
Yes.
morphing, and how is the impact? Go ahead, sir.
I do not see YouTube Global becoming a full-fledged profit-making venture. What I see rather is that YouTube would generate. Of course, we make money. We generate revenue. We are coming up with various models. We make money, but that what we do with the money is what makes us stick with social entrepreneurship. We do more of social impact. So if you want to define YouTube at any time, that is the future I see, and I would love to see, is that you define YouTube Global as a social impact, a social enterprise, and that is centered around that. So for me, it will always be about social enterprise. It will always be about social impact more. So it will be more of, so we'll do more of impact maximization rather than profit maximization. So it would be, but how we would fund our project, we want to make it more sustainable and internal. And so the revenue will be there, and that's the future we see. The future of YouthUp I see is that we bring out the money that we will use to fund our programs and our projects, and that is the way it will run. Whether at the moment we are doing, we're making impact. Of course, I would say a big yes. We are up and running. For an organization that is just a year plus, we have had good number of young people secure job opportunities courtesy of YouthUp. We've had a lot of young people get trained from no knowledge about some of the things that they've come to learn, whether it's graphic design, whether it's website design, in digital space. A lot of young people have gone into digital skills training through training that were offered under YouthUp platform and our collaborations. And some of these things are rendered free, without any payment coming from the, and also scholarships that have also been given out, to young people courtesy of the YouthUp platform. So it for us it's been an impactful journey, and it will keep becoming better and better as we move on. So generally, the answer to your question is no. YouthUp will not be a full-fledged profit-making organization. Rather, we would maximize more impact, but we generate our revenue, we make money, but the money will be decided for social impactful projects. And yes, currently we are making impact. Young people are getting empowered. Young people are getting employed. Our apprenticeship program is helping us. Our partnerships with various organizations, they are all contributing to our impact goal or objective. So it will get better by the day. And it's something that I want to continue in that trajectory.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Nwaobia. And I just read an incredible post from Olatunji Alonge responding to you. Profit is not just it's not just in a number in terms of a figure, but in the numbers, the number of people impacted, the number of lives changed. And that is happening with the Practical Education Network. That is happening with Nuerkie Foundation. That is happening with YouthUp Global. We are not just creating a bunch of millionaires. We're spreading the income, spreading the impact.
Spreading it. Thank you. Just a quick one. Let me add my voice to thank Olatunji. Olatunji has been a great guy, and I'm also happy that he stayed put all through this period to be part of this. Thank you, brother man, and keep being awesome. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
Mr. Ken, if I may come
Rebecca?
in a little.
Yes.
With the profit, it like viewers or listeners shouldn't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
If I say we are going to be a profit making, I mean, like, we wouldn't want to depend on external funds.
Yeah.
So it's like what Dr. Faith said earlier, is an internal
revenue generating model.
Yeah.
yes, exactly. That is
That will
what I
fund
understood
your
the question
project.
to be.
That will fund your
Yes,
project.
exactly. So we do not want to rely on external begging funds and all of, because it's a political something. It's going to solve a political what's the name, challenge, and we don't want political influence.
Okay.
You understand? So
He
that
who
is
pays the
how come
piper.
yes. So that's how come it's going to be on that lane, so that we will be guided with that. We'll be guided with that as we proceed in our processes.
Impact is
Because we don't
profit,
want to
yes.
be,
Yes.
we don't want to be influenced. We don't want to be influenced with funds, because we perhaps, because when we have that mindset of, oh, someone will come in with this, oh, someone will give us this, we will be relaxed on our objectives. And as time goes on, other forces will tell you what you should do, and that would then distort your objective as an
Yeah.
organization, and
Yeah.
that is not what we want. So that's how come I answered by saying, with the mindset of generating an internal profit to operate, to have to go about our operation. So that's to
Beautiful.
clear the air. Yeah.
Awesome.
Good one. Good
This
one.
this session has been one of those sessions where we're all speaking in gentle tones, and there's not too much of vibrance. But I mean, I think that the discussions we've had are deep. And I put out a question there to anyone who is watching now and anyone who may watch this later. Would you support a social impact project on a regular basis with your hard-earned money? Or will you say, I mean, if you feel this is what you want to do, why don't you go ahead and do it? So I'd like us to quickly, we should close in about 3 minutes. So I want like us from Dr. Heather Beem, how do we reach you if someone watching wants to reach out to you to support what you're doing, volunteer, introduce you to someone, whatever, how do we reach you? And we just take those introductions round very quickly in about 15 seconds. Please go ahead. How do we reach you?
Sure. So if you would like to be a pen pal, which you can do for as little as $20 a month or 120 CDs per month, you can go to our website, practicaleducationnetwork.com, and click on the donate button. We would love to have you come on board as a pen pal and support a Ghanaian student to get access to hands-on learning. If you'd like to follow us on social media, we're on all of the platforms. Twitter, it's at PEN_ED. Instagram is at Practical Education. And Facebook and LinkedIn, you can type in the full name and find us there. Thanks.
All right. Practicaleducationnetwork.com, and you just type in the button donate, right? Okay. All right. So, Rebecca, how do we engage you if we want to support what you're doing?
Okay, so I do the local networks, the Momo, the
Okay.
Vodafone and
Great.
MTN.
Great.
Yes, but if you want to follow the Nuerkie Foundation, is the Nuerkie Foundation on Facebook, and the email is the Nuerkie Foundation 2020@gmail.com, and then the Instagram is also Nuerkie Foundation. LinkedIn, you type Rebecca Akuetteh or Nuerkie Foundation, you see us there. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Actually, we raise funds per project. So per
Okay.
project. So whenever there's a project, we raise funds. Yes, it's per project. Okay, so that's it.
Great model. Great model. Thank you very much. Dr. Faith Nwaobia, how do we reach YouthUp Global?
Okay, to reach out to YouthUp Global, I would prefer that you write us. And apart from going through our website, www.youthupglobal.com, which is up and running, there are a lot of work that we are doing back end, which will come out live very soon. What you could do on that site is just to join our wait list, kind of. We are building something that we would want to bring out soon. But for you to engage us in terms of communication on a project that you want us to work with you. Why you want to engage us would be that you have a project that you want to either embark on, and you want us to work with you to make it to give it the right global audience, or you are looking for a project you want to fund the project Any of the 17 SDGs, we are good to go. So if you want to partner with us in any of those 17 SDG programs, you can write us at info@youthupglobal.com, info@youthupglobal.com, or you write me directly, faith@youthupglobal.com. Any of these emails that you have, I will be able to, personally, I'll be able to pick it up. Any of my team members will also do that. So that does it. And then on social media, we're on LinkedIn as YouthUp Global, on Facebook as YouthUp Global, on Instagram as YouthUp Global. That is it.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. That's beautiful. So there you have it, everyone. This is a period of giving. Rebecca, Faith, Heather are all on LinkedIn. If you'd like to reach out and support what they're doing, find it in your heart to let go of your hard-earned money for some more impact to those around you. We're going to have to stop for now. I'd like to appreciate those who joined us online. Thank you, Tunji. Thank you, Anne. Thank you, Eben. And remember Eben's question: can we use USSD to get these funds, maybe at scale? By the time you start collecting at scale, maybe you can manage the emails and stuff, and you need a technology solution for that. I think Eben might be able to help you there. Thank you, Gilbert. Thank you. Who else joined? Doc joined when we broke. My chat stream broke, so I can't see everyone else. But I want to appreciate especially Dr. Heather Beem, especially Dr. Faith Nwaobia, especially Rebecca Akuetteh. This video is available on our YouTube channel. And we'll see you again when we come back on the Truth